Suit at the back, please identify yourself. We'll come to you, Mateen, in a minute. Let's just take some Anka members.
Thank you very much. My name is Nazira Azim Karimi. I'm Afghan journalist. Mr. Khan, as Afghan people are a high expectation because from you, because you're peace ambassador, you are very famous soccer player.
No. Cricket.
Ball game, more or less the same. Ball is involved.
Very famous. As a peace ambassador, which role Pakistan should play to bring Taliban and the table to make negotiations with the Afghan government? What is the reason why they don't want to talk with Afghan government?
Thank you.
Well, this was a sticking point, as you're right, that the Taliban were willing to talk to the Americans, but not to the Afghan government. And at one point, the Taliban wanted to meet me, but I asked the Afghan government, and they asked me not to meet them. So the reason they said was that until President Ghani came to Pakistan, only then afterwards I should meet them. So I was planning to meet them once they had signed the deal with the Americans, and I would have met them for only one reason, that they should now talk to the Afghan government. But unfortunately, on a tweet, we found out that the deal was off. But, it's very sad because that was very close. And once the deal was made, then, the progress would have been made. But let me just be clear. There is no military solution, which is what I've been saying for a long time. And once the Afghans get together, they will find a solution. It must be, if the government sits down with the Taliban, they'll find a solution. But it's a question of getting them there.
Iftikhar, APP.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Iftikhar Ali from Associated Press of Pakistan. For weeks, you have been calling for lifting of siege in Indian occupied Kashmir. And in this connection, you have met representatives of international humanitarian organizations. What is it that prevents them to carry out their mandated task of providing relief to the Kashmiri people and to visit the prisoners, which they are mandated to do?
To be absolutely frank, I am a bit disappointed by international community. I'm disappointed first because, if 8 million Europeans were put under siege like this for 50 days, or Jews were put under siege, or Americans were put on siege, well, forget Americans, even 8 Americans were put under siege, but I'm talking about any other. I mean, would the reaction have been the same? They make statements, and there is no pressure as yet on Narendra Modi to lift the siege. So we will keep mounting the pressure. And I will tell the UN, I'm speaking on Friday, I will tell them that if there is a massacre, what are 900,000 troops doing there? When India says that, Pakistan is sending these terrorists, 500 terrorists, what can 500 terrorists do in front of 900,000 troops? Why would you send 500 terrorists as what they're saying? 900,000 troops are not to fight terrorists. They are to control, intimidate, and subjugate a population. And population, the entire Muslim population, I mean. This is why it is going to have repercussions far beyond Kashmir. Because 1.3 billion Muslims are watching this. Where is the world community? Where is the international community? Where are laws? United Nations Security Council had given them that right of self-determination. And what is happening to them now? So this will have repercussions. It's going to create radicalization. This is going to get worse. I'm flagging it right now because this is just the beginning. Once the curfew is lifted, God knows what is going to happen after that. Do they expect that the people of Kashmir, who've already lost 100,000 people in over 30 years, do they think that just because India has revoked Article 370, they will quietly accept the status quo? They will accept that India has taken over and annexed Kashmir? Of course, this is going to be there's every likelihood of there being a massacre. So the world community will be responsible.
Mateen Heather.
Can I just add to what the Prime Minister said to your question, sir? The President of the ICRC met the Prime Minister yesterday, and he said that in order to go and operate in Jammu and Kashmir, Indian occupied side, they need permits. They've applied for permits, and they have neither been refused nor been given permits. So practically, they're inaccessible.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister over here, Mateen Heather,
Mateen.
So you just expressed disappointment over international community's cold response. But you are saying at the same time you are making all efforts, meeting world leaders. What is the reason India is unmoved? And when you met President Trump, again he said that he is ready to mediate if requested. So when he will be requested, and second part of it, how serious is the threat of attack or adventure from the Indian side, and what is your defense preparation? Do we have the capability to thwart any possible aggression from India with full force? Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Look, disappointed because I really feel, now not as a Pakistani Prime Minister, as a human being, I feel disappointed that how can the world community stay quiet when 8 million people are being treated worse than animals? It's just simply disappointment coming from there. Secondly, I know why the response is lukewarm, and I know why Mr. Modi is not pushed at the moment. The reason is because people look upon India as a market of 1.2 billion people. Sadly, this is what is happening. Material comes over the human. So it's because it's a big market. They know it's wrong. Everyone I've spoken to knows this is wrong. Some are appalled by it. But they keep quiet because in the end they start thinking of a market. But my simple message to all those who are looking at a big market, this can go very wrong. To your second question, last time when they made Pakistan an excuse for this, a boy brutalized by the Indian security forces who blew himself up, they blamed Pakistan and bombed us. And once a conflict starts between two nuclear-armed countries, and I told the Indian public too on television, I said it will go beyond my hands, or your Prime Minister's hands once it starts. Who knows where it's going to end up? So it's madness to allow this whole situation to deteriorate further, because it's only going to deteriorate. Again, I repeat, what will happen when you lift the curfew? What is going to happen? What do they think that the Kashmiris, after how they've treated them, are they going to quietly now accept India, that India has taken over Kashmir and they'll accept it? I fear there's going to be a bloodbath. And that's when things will start deteriorating very rapidly.
I know you all want to ask questions. I'll come to you one by one. The lady in the blue, please go ahead, and if you can identify yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Betül Yürük from the Turkish news agency Anadolu. You had a meeting with Turkish President Erdogan yesterday. Do you think Turkey could play a role to help resolve the issue between Pakistan and India? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I really want to thank President Erdogan for mentioning today Kashmir in his speech. We really feel that I hope that after him more leaders take his lead and at least ask India to lift the siege. We have a very, very good relationship with Turkey. And President Erdogan is coming over to Pakistan next month, which we hope to receive. We hope to increase our trade, all sorts of, we're going to have financial agreements with Turkey. And yes, we're very thankful that the President has taken a very principled stand.
Please go ahead. We'll come to you, sir, in a minute.
Thank you. Thank you for the press conference, Mr. Prime Minister. My name is Ibtisam Azim from the daily Arabic Al-Arab Al-Jadid newspaper. My question to you is, you said that you will keep mounting the pressure. Could you tell us which steps are you going to take? And then to which extent are you afraid that the situation of Kashmir will be very similar to what's happening in the occupied Palestinian territories, where you have a lot of resolutions, a lot of sympathy, but on the ground there is no concrete steps to help the local people. Thank you very much.
You see, just like until the Palestinians are given a just settlement, there will always be a problem there. But, you know, of course, Israel is very powerful and probably at the peak of its might. And so for the time being, they've put a lid on it. But eventually there has to be some settlement there, with a just settlement where the Palestinians have a homeland. I think that Kashmir is going to be a bit different. For 30 years, people of Kashmir have wanted this freedom movement has grown. Today, the act done by the Indian government of shutting people in their homes for 50 days has alienated the entire spectrum of Kashmiri public. There were times people who were pro-Indian and who were, as I say, there were Kashmiri leaders like Umar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti who were pro-India. Today, no one will be able to ever get a vote in Kashmir who's pro-India because of what they've done. And they've actually, what the BJP government has done is it has actually told the Kashmiris that you're not equal human beings. They do not consider them human beings. Only hence a mindset can put people inside what they've done. And not thinking through what happens once the siege is lifted. I do not think Narendra Modi knows what's going to happen.
The gentleman right here. Yes.
After this, we are going to have an OIC summit meeting. We will gather all the Muslim countries simply for one thing. The only reason the people of Kashmir are being subjected to this is because they're Muslims. And this is resonating in 1.3 billion Muslims. And it's very important for Muslim world to play its part, because they're only suffering because they're Muslims. The Hindu Kashmiris are not suffering. And that's why it is important for them to take a stand. Because if the Muslim countries don't take a stand for whatever reason, for their own trade or whatever agreements, that's what leads to radicalization, when the governments do not express the wishes of the people and when they see injustice. So I hope that, the Muslim countries, we will have the OIC meeting next month.
Joseph Klein of Canada Free Press.